bit, so if you missed the slide, you can take a picture. With that, we'll bring up Evan Brown. Evan has been investing in real estate for how long? 8 years? 10 years? 12 years? 13 years. So he's one of the club mentors. He's also my stepdad and my mentor that got me started. Actually, 5 years ago to the day today is when we came up with Sell My House and Surf Dash deals and all that good stuff. So you guys are in for a real treat, and I'm going to step out now and let him take it away. So, thank you, everyone. Let's give him a round of applause.
And actually with that, with what Richard said, first of all, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, it's the first time I've had one of these lapel things on, so sorry.
I meant to say
but one thing about that is, yeah, 5 years today, we were spitballing well into the night, came up with it, and wanted to, definitely a collaborative effort, but wanted to just say, Rich, really, it's been a privilege and an honor to watch you develop over the last 5 years. And I gotta say that. And I love you. It's just, yeah. So, a lot of people ask actually about if I get too loud, let me know, because I get excited. And I am excited about what's going on in real estate today and all the opportunities. I'm also really excited for a lot of you new people or other investors who are getting back in and really want to step up your game. And so we're going to talk for a few minutes about the market real quick. We're going to talk a little bit about something called commitment. And then we're going to talk about some of the top 10 ways to get leads. And what we did though with it is, it's not just the ways we've got our last, say, 10 leads, which a lot of us is, but also I reached out to various friends and wholesalers and flippers that we really respect and asked, what's working for you now? One shared how they got the last 15 leads. Matter of fact, they got like 5 leads in the last 7 days, okay? So not someone just playing with it, someone building it, okay? So what we've done is I gathered a lot of that information, made some phone calls, a couple of them are here tonight, and said, hey, what's working for you? What do you find that's working now? So it's not just what's working for Sir Cash and Evan and Rich and Angela, it's what's working all over the place. Matter of fact, I talked to an investor that does a lot of work in Vegas and in Ohio, and a lot of the same thing that we do here. So again, when we talk about it, a lot of people think there's almost 100 different ways, and there are, about real estate, and real estate leads, but in reality, when it comes down to it, you only have to do a couple really, really well. Okay, anyone see the original Karate Kid? I'm gonna age myself. Anyone ever see that? All right. And, right, okay, well, movie from the 80s, and one of the kids, Daniel-san, the Ralph Macchio there, was worried about how much karate he could learn in a short period of time. And Mr. Miyagi goes, it's not how much you know, it's the quality of what you know, okay? And it's the same thing. I've known some people that just do one thing over and over again, and they're extremely successful in real estate, okay? And others that do 5 or 6 things. But I'm not coming across anyone in my sphere that's doing 20 different things. They're doing a handful, they're doing 2, they're doing 4, okay? So keep that in mind. A while ago, I think it was late last year, we did one of like 25 ways to get leads. But when you break that down, it becomes of what really works most of the time, and today, just a handful again, okay? So don't get, when we start talking about some things, you're saying, oh, I heard how to do this, or I heard that if I advertise in search engine optimization on Facebook and social media advertising, and I gotta do mailers, and I gotta do this, and I don't know where to start. So understand, we're gonna kind of keep it simple, and we're gonna talk about the things that are working for us now, and then we're gonna talk about the several items that are really working to get in again, okay? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Real quick, I want to talk about the market for a minute. There's been a lot of discussion on the real estate market, and someone said the other day this feels like 2008 again. Yet I'm kind of here to tell you from everything we're going over and learning, as far as real estate, it's not the same situation. We don't have those funny loans like we did, and we have no inventory. There's not that many homes on the market in the first place. There's far, far more buyers, even though with the rise in interest rates, buyers can afford a lot less house. That is taking some buyers out, but there are so many more buyers than there are listings that it's still keeping that price up. To give you an idea, I think it's Redfin that predicts this year still a 5% overall growth in real estate prices. Okay. Now, days on market are taking longer. I think 2 months ago, Riverside County was 22 days on market, which is a hot seller market. San Bernardino was 28 days on market. Okay, that was 2 months ago. I know as of like 3 weeks ago, it was 30 days in Riverside and about 40 in San Bernardino. Okay, it changed quickly. I don't know what it is today, but I'm sure it's in the 30s and 40s. Anything under 90 days is a seller's market. So it's still a seller's market. But when it's 30 days, it's a hot seller's market. When it's 35, when it's 25, so it's still good, something we still want to watch. Myself, I'm not going out there buying $900,000 houses, putting $300,000 and flipping $1.7 million. That's not my market, but I know people that do work in that market, and some of them are pulling back a little bit. Let's go with that from what I'm seeing. But again, that's not my market. I'm really in the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 price range, all here in Southern California. That's where we work. Okay. Right now, I have my most expensive house that I've ever had that I'm actually going to buy. I've had more expensive on a contract, and that's a little more than $500,000. Okay, and we're going to be doing that, and I'm actually wholesaling that to a buddy of mine that's going to keep it. So I'm just kind of letting you know, when I speak, I'm talking about this more of a beginner home market, okay? So if you are dealing in the $1 million markets in LA, some of what I'm going to say is still very valid, but as far as the markets go, I don't know that market, okay? The other thing is sometimes when we talk up here, people think that, or it comes off that we've made it, or et cetera, or all this. It's not. We work, we still go to work in this business. We're not arrived by any stretch of imagination. We go out, we hustle, we get leads. My wife's an active agent. Richard's running around doing everything he does with leads in the back end and in the club, et cetera. And I'm out there still. If you follow me on any of on social media or anything, yeah, I'm just buying a mobile home this week. Just we're closing this deal next week. This house, we just closed 3 rentals last week. So we're active. We're active investors. It's really what I'm going to get at. Okay. So there's no arrived. We're active real estate investors, and we're here just sharing with you what works. Okay. So as far as the market goes, we're still doing anything that's a 6-month project or under. I'm still looking to do. I'd rather get in and out right now. If I'm getting in and out in under 90 days, I'm happy. All right. So that's my baseline. The next 90 days looks pretty good, and I wanted to share that with you. So for us, everything I'm going to talk about, I just want to put some of your mind at ease while this whole recession, the talk and all that. Absolutely, you've all felt the pricing increases, etc. Slight slowdown in the market, but because there's so low inventory, to give you an idea, in the Denver market or Colorado market, 2008 there were 24,000 homes on the MLS. Right now there's 2,000. Okay, that's 2,000. This information is 3 days old. It's 2,000. I don't know if that's eastern Colorado or the whole Denver market, but that area, 24,000 in 08, it's 2,000. So a totally different situation. Okay, just keeping that in mind for those of you that could ask me that. All right. One of the things that we're gonna go over is I want to talk about is. Some of the things we're going to talk about, we're talking about systems, we're going to talk about driving for dollars, we're going to be talking about buying this list, we're going to be talking about that. So some of those decisions for you newer people especially, you have to decide what you're willing to do, how much time you're willing to commit, okay? Right now, I want to give you an idea, reading a new book for me called The Compound Effect. All right, somebody who's read this book? Yeah, right, just love this book. It was referred to me a while ago, didn't get around to it, and I just listened to it, I just read it. And basically, it's about talking about how you can do these little things that will daily or weekly that will build up in time. And if you have, say, someone that's making little decisions versus someone not making those little decisions or making bad decisions, you might even see a couple of friends hanging out together, and one starts going to the donut shop every day, enjoying life. Another one's going to the gym every day, and the other one keeps eating the way he's always has and doesn't exercise, let's say. Well, you might not notice any change for the first month or 2 months, but you're going to start seeing one's going to have more energy, one's going to start dropping weight, one's going to maybe start gaining weight. All right, you're going to start seeing the disparity down the road by doing little changes now. A lot of us learn this on the penny a day double or a little bit of savings, and if you save $2,000 a year for 6 years between age 18 and 24 and never do anything again, by the time you're 65 it's like $2 million or something like that. My point is these little things you can do down the road by compounding, by doing the effort, can pay off big later, even though you might not see the changes now, okay, immediately, okay? So I just want to talk about that because those of you who are saying, I want a deal, I need a deal, I need a deal, I'm like, great, okay, what have you done? And then I find out, you went to the movies last week, you watched Netflix on the other, you've done everything except going to try to get a deal. So understand, it still takes some work, still takes some effort, but you figure out what works for you. If 5 hours a week works, if 10 hours a week, and some of you are full-time beasts putting 50, 60 hours a week in, or 80 hours, some of you, and it's paying off, okay? So just understand that you gotta decide what you're gonna be willing to do later. That's what I wanna talk about. Okay. As I said, as I talked to a lot of different people on what is working for them today, and one thing I noticed is there were several different things that virtually everyone said, almost everyone said, and if something works for us, and I'm going to start there. So the number one thing that's been for us has been driving for dollars. Okay, that's been for us, and it was for a significant number of people on the list. The difference was, some of them are like, we go out driving for dollars, say 4 hours on Saturday, 3 hours tomorrow. There is a lot of that. However, for a lot of people, there was, when I'm in an area, when they're in an area, maybe they're flipping a house, they'll go drive that neighborhood and looking for the houses with tarps on the roof, etc., and then they'll add it because they're already there. Kind of talked about this before, but that's what they're doing. Top of that, some are saying, hey, I'm going to go to my sister's house, and because I'm going to my sister's house, I'm going to go 20 minutes early and drive the neighborhood. And they're looking for a few deals. The difference is what they do with it once they get it. That's where there's something a little different. There's more direct action from some of the investors, and then there's more passive stuff. For example, we got a lead that we're working. I just heard yesterday, it doesn't look like we're getting it. Doesn't happen, it sucks. But what happened is it's a newer investor. She was driving for dollars. She saw a house, needed some love. She went into, I think it was Prop Street actually, looked it up, and then she called and she got, met this person, best friends, everything. We went and met with him, made an offer. She got that driving for dollars in a particular area, and then she got on the phone and cold called him. Okay? So she drive for dollars and went that route, right? Now, I tend to drive for dollars, and then I will send a postcard, a little more passive. It depends upon what you like to do. Some of you want action now. Hey, I need to get on that phone now and give them a call. I find that some of those phone calls are just, in my case, they're chasing down the numbers, etc. I'll do the postcard, they call, it's a warm lead, that works for us. Occasionally, like right I own a house in Apple Valley. The house next door is empty. I have been cold calling them. Okay, it's a house. They're not responding to my postcards. There's a fence that's 8 feet tall. So I called. I just got them the other day and was talking to them about us buying their house. But virtually every investor talked to was driving for dollars. Virtually every one of them. Not all of them. But again, some were doing it with intent, going, hey, let's go out for 4 hours. And some were doing it as they live their lives. Everyone understand that? See the difference? but that was something that the majority would say. Matter of fact, the friends that said, I think out of the last 15 deals, I think 3 or 4 were literally driving for dollars, and that's something that, that they had worked for that. Okay, so wanted to talk about that. So, and with the driver's dollars, again, what we look for is I'm looking for something that's just standing out. It's either has the tarp on the roof, cinder blocks on the roof, car, and this is the obvious stuff. Fence falling down, broken window, or if it just looks tired, okay? If it looks tired. Anything that stands out. Or if there's a crappy neighborhood, and you're going, and I'll call that, and you're contacting a lot of the houses, I will add the best house, the nicest looking house or two on the list as well. Why? They may want to leave that neighborhood. It happens. And we bought those houses. Sometimes they're like, we're just fed up with the neighbors. You also see it if you go through a neighborhood, and the nice house has bars on the windows, and all the other houses don't. All right, so seriously, it's an option. Remember this, is when we're talking how we deal with it, especially for those of you who are agents, remember, if it is a nice looking house and we contact them, that we give them options when we go ahead and give them an offer. I will say, I'll give you $200,000 for this house, all cash offer, etc. But if it's really nice, or if I know it'll go well on the MLS, I will offer, or bring up and say, you know what, I have an amazing wife, works for First Team. She's she's a top agent over there, and she could list this house around here. You probably make 50 grand more than my offer. I give them that as an option. So you got to talk to her. She has her own opinion. She might get you more, maybe a little less, but I still give that as an option every time we do that, to make that call. And sometimes they will not take my offer, but they'll go with her listing, okay? And they'll take it. And they also know that we're looking out for them, because they're saying, oh, so you actually just competed against yourself. And I'll say, I'm going to win either way, and so are you. Just what do you prefer? Do you like to close in 2 weeks, or you want the 30, 60, 90 days, but you get the extra $50,000 by putting it on the MLS? If that works for you, great, okay? So, so just keep that in mind. One of the things, though, again, is with drawing for dollars that I'm talking about is, and I wanted to start off with this also, is if you guys are a little bit more like I said, you're hungry, you want some results now, remember, you can jump off and jump out of that car, walk up and knock on that door. That's something else that a lot of people that were drawing for dollars that were more prone to jump on the phone, they were also more prone to go knock on the door and find out right now if someone wants to sell that house, okay? And you don't have to wait for a mailer, okay? This is what we're finding is working. All right, so one option is that the mailers will leave a note on the door. If you're like, hey, that's not me, I don't know, maybe they're mad, I hear shouting in the house, write a note, I want to buy a house, I'm posting it, walk up and put it on the front door and run away. It's okay. It's okay. All right, I have done that. I tend to not knock on the door unless there's something really active, but I have put a lot of notes on the doors. Okay, I have done that. Okay. Tell your stories. Anyway. Drawing for dollars. One of the other things they're finding out that I'm talking about is cold calling. Straight out cold calling. We don't do a lot of this, but we're finding a lot of guys are doing one, drawing for dollars, and then the cold calling. Okay? And so basically, you can take the house you already saw and call, or you can go to PropStream. One thing about PropStream, you can go on it, look at it, and as soon as you log into it, it'll tell you how many houses on MLS, how many in pre-foreclosure, and that's something, because of the economy, you're going to start seeing more pre-foreclosure stuff and more foreclosures, where a couple years ago you wouldn't see any. Well, keep an eye on that. You're going to see it. We just did a deal that we worked with a new wholesaler, and they called a pre-foreclosure list, and that's a house we just paid a wholesaler $50,000. We're in escrow to sell that house, by the way, right now. It went pending, and we had 5 offers in like 2 days, and within 3 days we had 10 offers. Sound like $40,000 over. It was just crazy. But the point is with it is that they got that from cold calling on a pre-foreclosure list. Okay? So I want to share with you more than the things, because to me, I got it from a wholesaler. So work with a wholesaler. But where did the wholesaler get it? That's what I wanted to bring to you guys, okay? Follow me? Like, can I hear a yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. All right. So understand that one of the guys I spoke to, it's a friend I met him recently, he's 25 years old, and his team only makes phone calls. Only makes phone calls. No advertising, no mailers, nothing. Only makes phone calls. They call daily 20, 30, 40 different wholesalers every day. 20, 30, 40 real estate agents every single day. 20, 30, 40, get the point? Vendors a day, probate attorneys, bail bondsmen, insurance agents, CPAs, painters, contractors, junk dog haulers, junk removal people, okay? Gardeners, every single day. Now, you don't have to do that. You can call so many every week, but they're calm. They're not running any, no budget. They do that with just by picking up the phone. And their whole team does it again and again and again. 25 years of age, and he's doing anywhere between 5 and 15 deals a month. Okay? Zero advertising dollars. Zero. I think we spend like $6,000, $7,000 a year with what we do with like Deal Machine, with the ads, etc. The last I had checked with Rich. So give you an idea, and we do pretty well with that, but it's how aggressive you want to get. I'm just saying, for those of you on a tight budget, there are solutions. So when I'm saying cold calling, you can drive for dollars, see a house, leave a note, send a mailer, get on the phone, or knock on the door, and you can do that. And at the same time, or you can actually create a list of all these different real estate agents and wholesalers and bird doggers. Anyone know what a bird dogger is? Who does not know what a bird dogger is? It's okay, Virginia. All right. A bird dogger is someone that's just literally out there pointing at various deals, pointing at, hearing that, hey, you know what? I just heard someone over here thinking about selling. And you can train them. You can train family and friends, acquaintances, homeless people, people collecting that are hustling for money or asking for money. Yeah, hand in your card. We've done it. You know, we've done that. I have one person I think she's given us 4 or 5 deals over the last like 5 years. And pretty much homeless her boyfriend was homeless most of that time when he started doing it. So you can do it, they remember. We just did a deal, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months ago. She's not homeless anymore, but her ex-boyfriend's still homeless, but she told me not him. So I'm just saying that you can actually get out there and just get on the phone and call and not have to spend a lot of money for those of you who don't want to spend a lot of money or just don't have it, okay? Until you do have it, okay? So understand that. It's, again, how active, the whole time I'm thinking, think of which ones of these are very active things to do and very more passive. Because if it's against your personality, you're not going to do it. If I said, hey everyone, you should just get out of the car and knock on the door, some of you might go, okay, I'm a woman, it's 7 o'clock at night, it's a rough neighborhood, I get it. Done. But you can skip trace and look up the phone number and give them a call. You can drop a letter in the mail. Okay? All right. So, and in the cold calling, you can look at it as to cold call as you target an area. I like this neighborhood. I was with Michael the other day. We were talking. Lives in Hemet. I mean, has a property in Hemet. Has a property on Desert Hot Springs. And for example, one of the things you would look at is you can do is look at an area where you're at and where you want to target. Let's say, in case there, if you have a property in Hemet, someone might want to go into Beaumont, California, Banning, Cabazon, all the way to say Desert Hot Springs, and fill that area and target that greater area. Or someone may say, I just want to work Hemet and San Jacinto, and I just want to own that neighborhood or that city. I just want to get to know every single house. And you can do that. You can do that. Or you can do a wider range. For us, anything from the 15 in Barstow all the way down on the 15 to Temecula, along the 215, going all the way out though on the 18 and 247 to Lucerne, and then Crestline, Lake Arrowhead. That is, we work all that area. All right? Yes, we just did a deal in LA, but those are the stuff that come in despite what we're doing. Okay? And the reason why I'm saying that is that you have to, one of the things, when I should have started with this about the driving for dollars, you have to decide where you want to start. So you can do one small area like Andy does. Andy has, there's a community he likes, it's 1,800 homes, and he targets that. That's what he does. He wants to get a bicycle to his area that he works, and he works, and that's all he does. And there's nothing wrong with that. Others will drive hours. Me, I always said if I could drive an hour for my boss, I'll drive an hour for me. So that's I'll go about an hour and a half out. All right, kind of developed into that. I just wanted to stop and bring that up real quick about that of an area. So if something is against your personality, you might not do it. Understand that. There might be an answer that's a little more passive. But if you go, well, Evan, the problem is I'm more passive, but I don't have the money to send out a big postcard. I get it. That's why you can leave a note on the door. Or you can partner with someone who is more outgoing or has a few more dollars. Some of you are go-getters. I know Denise here is out there. She's telling me all these leads she's getting, etc. And if she came and said, hey, I've got this deal, but I need some money, I'm telling you, and she comes to me, great, it's because you snoozed. You didn't go ask her. You didn't go talk to her. All right? There's a lot of people in this room like that. Raise your hand, Denise. She's finding deals. So, again, keep that in mind. So that if you might say, you know what, I have a full-time job, I'm working my butt off, I don't have a lot of time to do this, but I have some money to put to use, you might need to partner up with somebody. Remember, even when we do deals, we're not doing it all by ourselves. I have lenders we work with, we have real estate, insurance agents we work with. We partner up in various ways. We just did a joint deal on a wholesale deal. We worked together. Another wholesaling night. We're working on another one in Riverside right now. So the point is that there's a lot of different ways. Don't overlook that. Be very careful if you are going to start talking about partnering. But another term for that is joint venture. Maybe go joint JV on something. Or you had someone come in today and say, I'm really looking for someone to joint venture on because I don't know what to do. If I get a lead, what would I do? And I said, you can call me. It's one option. You can call Jen. You can call Andy. Pointing to Chris. There's a couple of people you can go to, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, so the other thing is, I'm gonna go back again to real estate agents. I talked about wholesalers and bird doggers, and let me go into bird doggers in one more second. I love wholesalers and bird doggers, especially the thing is that if you have a wide network, or a lot of people that you know or you have acquaintances with, it's very easy to say, hey, give them your card and let them know. I pay a referral fee for every house that I close that you refer me to. Starts out at $500 or starts out at $1,000. I know someone pays $3,000. Okay? And you just do that. You just drop it. And you're very nonchalant. Hey, just so you know, if you know anyone selling a house, I pay a referral fee starting at X amount of dollars. Or you don't have to say it. You don't have to say the amount. You can say, I pay X. I said, well, I just did a deal with someone, I paid them $10,000. If you want to know more, give me a call. That's catchy. All right, they said, I'm not interested. It's like, well, it's okay, I really wasn't asking, I was just letting you know that you look for stuff like that. Okay, so it's very more nonchalant, so you have those options with that. But when I'm going to say real estate agents, that's, again, a wide range of things it's not just so much as simple as, hey, I'm a real estate investor and I want to work with that real estate agent. You send me a lead, thank you. They get that call all the time. The idea is you want to be the first person that they think of because they have others doing it. So you want to be able to say to them and say, hey, Denise, you know I'm a real estate investor. I know you work with a lot of other investors. I just want to know if you keep an eye out for me. I really like those duplexes and single-family houses. And the triplexes, I love the high desert area right there. Anywhere in this area, etc. I can close fast. Just consider me next time, all right? Please. And then maybe take her coffee to talk about that. And then in a couple of weeks, call her again. Hey, Denise, okay? And then again, you want to be first on their mind. We did a deal recently that we got $500, okay? And we got that off of a postcard. And it turned out that we did this deal, and what happened was, you know what, let me back up here. I sent a postcard out, and I got someone giving me a call saying, hey, I want you to buy my house, and I couldn't meet a price with them. And so I looked up on Zillow, just to see doing a quick 2-second comp, so to speak, just looking to see what house we're talking about. And then I saw another house on Zillow that was for sale, and it was on the MLS. So I called. Well, actually, I went to Ann to say, Ann, should you find out what the agent is, who it is on that? It was a friend of ours that we've done business with, that's listed our houses before. And she didn't call me before it went live. She didn't call me or anything. And I obviously fell off of her radar. So I called her and said, hey, like you put an offer in, we got the house. Now we're on her radar. So what does she do a couple weeks later? Hey, Evan, I got this pocket listing. They want $250,000 in this other deal. And so what do we do? I went and looked and said, yeah, I can give you this, and they bought that house. She sent me 3 other deals, which we didn't close on any of them, but she sent 3 others. Okay, and had I not bought that house, maybe she wouldn't have, but at the same time, I let that fall off my radar. You know, where we just weren't on her radar on that. So keep that in mind with real estate agents. Again, you're not trying to get the deal now. You're just trying to make sure you're on that short list, that they call you first before they send it out. So they go, well, I got 3 people in mind. A lot of people ask us about some of the stuff we send out. Yeah, we have a short list. We do send things out. But we have a short list sometimes. It's like, you know, this is perfect for someone. We need to move this now. We don't have time to send it out. Hey, you want this deal? And it happens. And it does happen. It's a reality. I know a few of you in this room does it. So keep that in mind, okay? So when we say real estate agents, see, anyone can do this. So we talked about wholesalers. And one of the things about wholesalers, talk about bird doggers. If there's no 2 D's in it, too bad. I'm up there, you're not. And we talk about real estate agents. Okay? What this really is saying, anyone know really what I'm saying? Be friends. Professionally network. Don't be a secret agent. Do not be the secret agent. This is not a multi-level marketing thing where you're afraid to talk to your friends. You're talking to wholesalers, and one of the things about it when you're doing that is you can go get on 20 wholesalers lists right now. You can do that tonight. Google wholesalers or Google houses for sale in any market. You'll get all these people that we buy houses, get on the list. You will get inundated with so many properties that might not be deals or are deals that you try to reference them all, you can definitely get overwhelmed. One of the things about it, though, is you want them to call you before those deals go all the way out, before they go out. Because once they go out, it's like $10,000 or $20,000 non-refundable EMD, earnest money deposit. You got to put money down before they'll sell you the house, and it's non-refundable. A lot of wholesalers work that way. Okay? And so one thing about it with them is that is one way to do it. But again, you want to be where they call you first and they say, hey, Jonathan, I got this deal. I really like to give it to you. I called, there's a short list. I called you and I called Chris. And you know, if you can meet me over there or go take a look, here's the photos, and you need to make a decision today. All right, you want that, not that just kind of goes out, okay? But you've got to be on their mind, so you're going to be giving them a call. So wholesalers, we get deals from wholesalers all the time. Our last 10 leads, 5 came from wholesalers. Wholesalers / bird dogs, okay? And by the way, and out of those 5, one was a friend of the wholesaler. Was a friend, someone in their network, their personal network, then went, oh yeah, I have someone that needs something, that has a problem. We're in a contract on that house right now to buy that house. That was a personal network. Another one we did that I told you was off of a list, off of a pre-foreclosure list. Also my mind went blank where the other couple went from, but I'll get back to that. Same with bird doggers. Anyway, and then the agent, pocket listings, etc. And so One of the things about it is that remember, is that these people, didn't matter what they do, this is all about professional networking, about being out there. Events like this, yes. How many people here are members of the club? Great. How many of you have got up in front of the club at House and Wants and say, I want a deal, or I need money? How many people have got up? See the discrepancy in hands? So you have an opportunity to work with people in this room right now that might have money or a deal, they just need the other, and you haven't even opened your mouth yet because you're being quiet. Don't do that. Okay, just don't do that. You can get out there. Okay, so there's just, so just don't be a secret agent. I gotta tell you that. One of the things that I will say that everybody says, with a wholesaler, real estate, every investor I spoke to, all three of those were one of the bigger sources of leads. That was one of the bigger sources of leads. Virtually, it was on everyone's list. Okay? Virtually everyone's list. And one of them, this is someone I hadn't talked to recently, but there's an investor, her name's Christy Kirkwell. We saw her last year at Masters of Real Estate. And she was talking and said in like 12 years of investing, like the last 7, she hadn't spent $1 on marketing. It was all personal networking, professional networking, referral. That's it. So guess what works no matter what happens with social media, email, mailing, postcards, all. Guess what always works? Personal networking, professional networking. That was, okay, so keep that in mind. I know a lot of you want something sexy. Yeah, let's talk about, search engine optimization and get into all the different things with social media. Guess what? That ain't me. We actually did spend some time on that a while ago, got all in there. Richard was getting really into that, and we spent so much money, and they changed the algorithms on us. Like weeks later, we just started getting there. We're like, you know what? I see some people shaking their head. It happened to them too. It's like, you know what works? Picking up the phone, sending a mailer, driving for dollars, opening your mouth. Those are the things that work. Okay? Some of these guys that we're talking to, they do hundreds of thousands of dollars or $1 million a year, and this is what they do. That's why we do it. Now, if you want to go do a lot of things that you saw on TV or someone else, some guru somewhere doing it, go ahead. But what you find, a lot of it, you're going to go right back to down the road, going back to professional networking, personal networking, and driving for dollars, and picking up the phone, and door knocking. Yes. There's a place for door knocking. But one of the things was, I mentioned it, the MLS for us, out of the last like 7 deals that we closed on, 4 were actually on the MLS. That's very unusual for us in the SoCal market. It's been years. I think we might a couple years ago, the Mountains got 1 on that MLS. It's just been rare lately because of all the market, of how tight the market's been. But lately, we grabbed 4. I grabbed 3 on one street. We just closed. 3 separate sellers, but 1 agent, and we just did the deal and keeping them as rentals. By the way, in SoCal in the high desert, the most expensive house we bought was $130,000. That was on the MLS. That was $10,000 under than asking. The other one we picked up for $120, and one we picked up for $105, and they wanted $135. 2 bedroom, 1 bath. They exist. How did we find it? By the way, when I say MLS, I did see a lead on 1 house. And I looked at it and said, yeah, that's pretty good. I should do something about it. I was busy. But then I was in my area that I drive, that we have rentals, and I drove down the street, driving for dollars, just for a few minutes before I go, and I turned and I saw 3 signs and realized there were 3 houses on one street, now I wanted them. So, was that an MLS lead, or was that driving for dollars lead? Anyone?
Yes, exactly.
Right? If I hadn't been driving for dollars, I went over there, because I was over there anyway, but I was over there because I knew that there was 1, I'll drive by and look, but there were 3, and I didn't see that. Don't know why it didn't show up. So, again, it's why we're such big believers in driving for dollars. Okay? And the MLS. You can do an MLS search. By the way, Deal Machine feeds, the MLS leads now feed into Deal Machine. I know it does with PropStream. Like I said, if you sign into PropStream, for example, it'll tell you there's 382 houses for sale, say in the city of Hemet, or X amount numbers in San Jacinto or Victorville, wherever you're going. It just pops up and it'll tell you. It'll also tell you how many cash buyers there are. Okay? And I haven't played around with it. It's new for us. I've had property radar before, and I'm not a tech guy. I kind of get lost in that. I just wanted a list to send it out. Okay? So I wanted to say that. The other thing, though, is I'm going to just say the mailers. A couple of you, and they're in the room. I know Chris and Charlie's team there still do mailers, and I know a few other people are doing them. And you're doing high equity, non-owner occupied, outside the state, and a lot of there's a lot of people that still do those. We actually got away from doing that except for 4 years ago. Every once in a while we'd send something, but it was getting so tight in our market. People were getting, we were getting 20, 30, 40 postcards, I won't say a day, but a week, 50 a week coming in our office from the properties we had, from everybody. Some of them were our friends. I've gotten Chris's, I've gotten Aaron's, home builder guys. We got them. And after a while, the response rate went down. I was talking to a friend of mine that is doing deals in LA. 7 figures a year, doing deals in LA. He's an agent and an investor. All his leads, it's like 90%, are coming from other real estate agents before they're hitting the market. They're pocket listings. Okay? By him calling and staying in touch with friends and doing that, he's getting quite a few leads. And, where's it go? That a little bit is from his mailers. To give you an idea, he's doing postcards. He sends off 2,000 high equity, non-owner occupied. They've owned for more than 5 or 10 years, I forget it. Out of state. No, I don't think he was out of state. Anyway, and they're getting about a 1.5% response rate, which is pretty much for a postcard the same as it was 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. For a while there, I would argue that I would have went that it was almost zero. It was just nothing for a while. That was with us. Okay, maybe my list was stale because I know other people were still crushing it. Okay, so yeah.
I'm sorry, is that here in SoCal?
That's here, 1.5%. It's 2,000 mailers.
Yeah, a week?
At the time, we didn't even get into the dollar amount, and he's getting whatever it was, like 30 calls or something like that. It came out to be 1.5%. Yeah, and that is a postcard. That's what I was used to from years ago.
Yeah.
Right? But within for us, it went down to where it was just not happening. You found the same?
Yeah, it's way down. But usually when the call does, they're going to do it better.
Right.
When finally does. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 1.5.
Yeah, and this was as of yesterday. I'm like, literally, what are you guys doing? He's also doing, and the other little bit, a lot of development. He's working with people doing a lot of development when he's not just flipping houses or as an agent. So I wanted to say that, yeah.
I do postcards. I'll just put out a batch of 100 as a test, and I'll get 5 to 10 calls. That's what I'm saying. I get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
But I just do batches of 100 tests.
And that's good. And what list are you going with, or what are you targeting? Non-owner?
Yeah, but it depends on who wants me to do the marketing for them.
Okay,
So, yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
They're going to give an idea that that's even a higher rate right now.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things when we started driving for dollars and we started getting, we noticed that our response rate was like 10, 15, 20 at times. It was multiples of this for a postcard at times.
Yeah.
I haven't tracked in a long time, so I don't know. I just know that we get quiet times and then we get some busy times. So I can't even say on what we're doing, because remember, you're looking at, there's distressed sellers and there's distressed properties, and we're really just picking, when driving for dollars, we're picking the property.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing. And so we're like going there. So in the beginning, when you're taking a photo of a house, depending upon how many you're out there driving, it was a novelty, and we still get those calls, but they don't seem as excited now as say a year ago, going, oh, you took a picture of my house. Because I know a lot of other places, like Go Big Crane or one of those other, they were just taking the Google photos and sending them, but they could be 6 months old. So the house is already, it's a picture of a house that's already been painted. And so I don't think those response rates from what I reached out to were the same. But anyway, this is a buddy of mine that I've done business with in LA that is very successful at what he does. And we were talking yesterday and he spent some time with me. He also does a small amount of text. He does texting. He does, I stay away from texting. There's a whole lot of legal reasons for us. Another friend of mine, speaking of texting, got nailed because he sent a text to the wrong person and paid $6,000 because he got sued, because there's a whole world to it. That's not my thing, but I know people in this room still do some text campaigns. I just never got into it. I think we looked into it a little bit, but we just stayed away, and we got deals from other places, okay? But what is working with several of the people, I talked to a little more than half a dozen investors that are doing things and out there, and I was gonna bring it up, okay? You guys gotta know. But there's some issues with it. We can talk about that another time, okay? All right? Okay. One of the other things, I'm going to bring this up because I was actually watching a wholesaler that I know a couple months ago, and one of the things he said, he was finding that his mailers were not being as effective anymore because he was big on mailers, and he said there were three things. He broke it to three things that were working in this market. This is a couple months ago. Driving for dollars, door knocking, probate lists. Again, this is a well-known investor, does lots of deals, and he was finding that probate lists. We've done probate lists, but I'm going to share something that my buddy that I was speaking to yesterday said that he does. It's kind of cool, and he said he would share it. It says he goes for the probate auctions at the courthouse. He loves those. I like probate lists. We're doing probate now. The deal I have right now it's $500,000 of probate. But by the way, how we found it was my wife's former boss, who's a real estate agent, didn't want to deal with his brother's death. He didn't want to get in with three nephews, all at war with each other. It's in probate, and he just didn't want. He's like, the place needs some work. It's a nice place in Lake Matthews, and he called me. He hasn't been your boss in 2 years, but I bump into him all the time at Chipotle. I literally run into him all the time at Chipotle, and we talk, and we stay in touch that way. And he called me. It's the second time he's done this over the last, say, year. Said, hey, Evan, I got this thing. It's family, and I'm not sure. I said, you know what? Why don't we bring an investor in, because you're going to buy it, occupy it. And so we talked about it. And I had to go over there and pretend not to be an investor. I had to help him move a washer and dryer out of the property. I had to start taking pictures with the camera, taking the camera, put it in my back pocket so I could film as I'm walking through. Because someone's going to have to, yeah. You done that? Yeah. You're kind of, you done the same? Yeah. These are the things you do. It's like, what am I supposed, can I just say your friend? What do I got to do? So, literally, yeah, I'm his friend. And that's what we did. I was sitting here moving a washer and dryer. So Angela's, where are you going? I'm going to go move a washer and dryer. But we're living in this property. Got on a contract, by the way. So it's a pretty good deal. But so when we've been dealing with probate, matter of fact, Miguel and I were working another one in here that we thought was going to be a probate. We found out we can avoid probate. Had a transfer of death clause right on the deed. So when a person passed away, boom, it immediately transferred. Well, once it was filed, it was transferred. So when a probate attorney, because I had heard of these, but I never dealt with one, and they said, guess what? We don't think you need to go to probate. And we have that one on a contract. So, but my other friend right now, Daniel, he likes the probate auctions. He actually goes to the court, looks up for which ones are going to auction, cross-references those to see what kind of deals, and he shows up to buy them. And he gets some pretty good deals. He does this in LA. All right? I was going to share it only because I don't know anyone that was really doing that. I've heard of it, but I didn't know. I wanted to share it because he's someone I respect a lot, and he's having some pretty good success with it. Although he did say, Evan, it is much better to catch it before you ever get there. It's far better. He just wanted to know, he just kind of started doing that. And that's just another thing that he's doing, okay? All right, any questions? Any questions on that?
Yeah, so on the probate auctions, that's all cash as well, right?
Yep. I can't say affirmatively, someone in here probably can, but I'm sure at that point you have like 3 days or 5 days, etc. And I think you have a $10,000 deposit with you at that E&D with you. He mentioned $10,000 specifically that you have to have with you. So if it's like some of the other auctions, I also then bring up, well, is there title insurance requirement? I mean, there's a whole nother rule of it. I'm just bringing it up because it's another thing that I wasn't thinking of, but I wanted to share. And even though everything else I was sharing with is what the majority, they're all doing, this one I went, oh, I'm going to bring it up because I'm going to talk about probate anyway, because we're doing several probate right now. We have done the auto dialers, et cetera, a while ago, but probate, and let me tell you one thing about probate. Where are you going to find a good probate deal? Lawyer. Yeah, we got referred by a probate attorney. Probate attorneys are good, that's why you give them a call, they're good. Also, your personal network.
Yes.
This is where we've said before, write down a list of 100 people, let them know what you do for a living. Hey, I got into real estate investing, I work with a great group of people out of Riverside, California. If you have any questions, if you ever have a real estate need or an issue, I'd love to be able to be a resource for you. Maybe I can help, maybe we have coffee sometime. And I just want you to know to think of me if you ever have any real estate needs. Anything, so that all your friends you went to high school with, college with, you work with. So when someone in their family dies, passes away, guess what? We all go sooner or later. We guarantee we're going to go sooner or later, right? And so you have another source there of friends that the people don't know. And that's the sad thing. You come across with people that are, someone passes away and they did not prepare, the family's in shambles, and they don't know where to go. I'm working right now with one of the other guys here in this room tonight. We're talking, wholesaler, and this is where I was remembering now. One of the leads was a cousin of his. It was a death in the family, and trying to deal with the dad, trying to figure out what to do now. And so you have this thing going on. And so you're in your extended network, you're going to have a lot of these deals that are very organic. You don't have to pay for them. But by you opening your mouth and saying, hey, I'm a real estate investor. This is what I do. This is what we do. Okay? It's one of the most effective ways again. So I'm just going to keep hitting that point because it's something that everyone, it was on everyone's list of what they still do. Every one of them does that. They let everyone else know what they're doing. They're no secret agents. So really, when it comes down to it right here, I'm going to bring Rich up in just a minute. It really comes down to, on this, there's really two, personal and professional networking. Those you can't read, I'll go personal on the top, professional on the bottom, networking. Ultimately, whether you're an agent, you're an investor, you're a wholesaler, what we're seeing is that over and over again, we're seeing some of the things where people are, it's going back to this, where they're doing it in their family, they're doing it with their friends, they're doing it in their work. Some of the people that, and some people, well, I don't want to say I'm shy. Well, the people that we were working with, Angela and I worked for a printing company for 25, well, I did for 25 years. And while, a machine, put ink in, and paper goes inside, comes out, business cards, flyers, right? That's what we did. Very loud warehouse shop. And a lot of the people that I worked with for 20 years are investors with us today. One of the companies that I started, that we have, that we started in 2010, the guy was a vendor at that company, come in and work on the machines, so we rode motorcycles together. He's an investor today, okay? Because I opened my mouth, this is what we do, and he saw, hey, you buy metals, how's that work? I wish I could, but I don't have any money. And then I went to a seminar and learned, guess what? You can take self-directed IRA money and roll it over. You can take 401k and IRA money and turn it self-directed IRA and invest in real estate or businesses. That's us. So we rolled it over. We started a company 13 years later. We're still going. And I've never put $1 of my own money in that business. Not one. And we still go today. By the way, he's pretty happy. It's double-digit returns, and we're happy because we're still here, and this is what we do. So do you think it was worth it for me to say what we did for a living? Or should I just say, oh, hey, Brian, and walk by him? I think it paid off. Okay? So it can cost you by not saying anything, all right? So I just wanted to talk about it real quick, and then I'm gonna bring Richard up right now, because we talked about deal machine a little bit, prop stream, and he's gonna talk about a couple of different things with it, and then I'm gonna come up and I have a couple things to follow up with and hit home and finish.
Sorry, I turned it on to just making sure everybody's awake.
Yeah. So, go for Richard. I'm gonna step aside.
Okay, sounds good. While I'm getting the projector back on here, 1 second. Smart guy. Let's see. So this slide, I'm going to come back to it in a second. But basically, so what Evan was talking about with sending out postcards and getting like a 1.5% response rate. The last time we sent out postcards, we didn't get a 1.5% return rate. Me, my mom, I think Evan cracked the whip a little bit while we were doing it. Stuffed about, I don't know, 2,000 envelopes, like literally hand folded all this stuff. And Evan had this great idea to put some nickels in each envelope. We're like, all right.
It was great at the beginning.
Yeah.
My first deal was stuffing envelopes, but that's not postcard.
He gets defensive. He gets defensive about this story. So we hand stuffed all these envelopes. We put nickels in there. We're like, yeah, has some way people more likely to open it. I'm like, oh, all right, sure. And I think we hand signed them. There was like a picture of him and his partner, and they were like, by the motorcycles, and, because it had all this stuff. It had all the workings of a really good marketing campaign. And we sent it out. I just trying to get my brother to actually. We actually paid him to do it. How we all ended up doing it, I'm not sure. But he still did it, but we had to kind of help him out. So we stuffed all these envelopes, folded up. We spent I think it was 5 different rotations of, we broke up those 2,000 or 3,000 people. We broke it up, we sent it all out. It took us like a month to get it all out. We didn't get a single response.
Wow.
So after that, and to this day, Evan still swears that we didn't take it to the mailbox. Because I swear, he's done this before, and he's like, I swear it works. And I was like, yeah, sure it does. And so anyways, you can have the best marketing campaign in the world, and sometimes you just pick the wrong list. So I'm going to go through a couple of different things here on how we target now, micro-target basically, instead of just casting a big net off ordering a list off, list builder or whoever, and just blindly sending, a bunch of people that should fit the parameters, but they don't know this. The first step that I wanted to talk about was basically, we use 3 main systems right now. PropStream is pretty new for us. The Deal Machine and Carrot we've been using a long time, so I'm going to start with Deal Machine, and then we'll move to Carrot, and I'll show you kind of how you can dial in PropStream also. So let me walk over here, and if you guys keep watching the screen there. So Deal Machine, for those of you who are not aware, Deal Machine is an app that basically you can drive for dollars. I know we went through it a little bit too. You drive for dollars, you see a crappy house, take a picture. It's not like, and you know for a fact that house has an issue. It's not something like you're just guessing or you're looking through it on Google Maps or anything like that. So the way we micro-target a little bit is essentially, we have different markets we have different markets. Getting a little feedback there. We target specific markets, and then we have specific campaigns for each market. So I'm going to take one example and use Crestline. I don't know if you've heard, but we do a lot of business with Crestline. So the way it works is it sends multiple campaigns to different people, and it all has different steps. So it starts off with basically, I don't know if you guys can read that very well, but it says, it has a picture of a house. This is just a stock one, but it says, I live in Crestline. I'm interested in purchasing a few more properties. If you were looking to sell, I'd love an opportunity. And blah, blah, blah. And then on the back side, it says, let's see if I can read that. Wow, it's even small in here. If you see me basically walking around Goodwin's, which is the grocery store up there, it's a very small town. If you are from Crestline or you know anything about Crestline or you own a house in Crestline, I promise you, you know what Goodwin's is. So I talk about stuff that's around the town. So if it was like downtown Redlands, you could talk about stuff that was in downtown Redlands. If it was Riverside, you could talk about the Mission Inn, you know, whatever. And we have multiple, like I said, multiple ways we do this. Crestline has one, Lake Arrowhead has one, Barstow has one, Victorville has one, and basically anything that goes out to those individual markets has different stuff. And then it's multiple steps. The next one is very similar. It just says, I asked if they've ever been to a restaurant in town. Again, it's a restaurant that if you live there, you would know exactly what that restaurant was. And I'll buy you a coffee sometime if you want to come to that restaurant with me, or whatever. It just keeps hitting until I get like more and more passively aggressive with them about how it costs money for me to send these postcards. And then, maybe they don't like to eat, or maybe you just like alcohol, I'll buy you a drink. You know, something like that. No, half joking, half serious. So like it does kind of get like a little like cute. And then some people, one lady liked it so much. She was like, "Your postcards are adorable." You know, I had them for like a year before I decided to call you. And by the time I sat down with her and her husband, they were trying to hook me up with their daughter. So who was married, but I still don't understand that. Anyways, so we set that up, and then if you guys, I don't know if you can see that on there. It has my contact info down at the bottom, and then also at the very bottom it has our website / whatever city or town we're targeting. So it says sellthathouse.com /Crestline / Lake Arrowhead / Corona / Riverside, whatever. And then once they go to that website, instead of just going to sellthathouse.com, so that's sellthathouse.com. The internet cut out. What happened? Hang on. Can't connect to this now. Is there any back there? Alright, hang on. There's more than one way to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Crestline is very generic. It's all about, or excuse me, Sell a House is very generic. It's all just about, you know, general selling your house kind of stuff. Anywhere in Southern California, blah, 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 blah. We also have a cool chatbot that I'll go into some other time. But if they type in sellthathouse.com /Crestline is the idea. Is that it has a picture of Crestline itself in the background, and everything is targeted towards Crestline. And I talk about how everything from VOE to San Moritz, which again, if you lived up there, you would know exactly what that was, Twin Peaks and everything like that. I talk about mountain life and stuff like that. So again, the idea is to get them to go to something that actually speaks to them and not just a generalized website. So, and then from there, and this really seems to work up in these areas that we target, where we just generally send stuff out. Like I said, we didn't really get that much of a response rate, even though our stuff was, I thought, pretty catchy, and you know, people would respond, but it wasn't like the level of responses and leads we get from using Deal Machine on targeted houses, sending them to a specific website that actually talks about the town that they're in is much better. So, and then where PropStream comes in, and before I go to PropStream, this is Carrot's website, so I'll go to those links again in a second, but I didn't make this website. I plugged it in, changed some copy and whatnot, but for the most part, the whole backend is run by Carrot.com, and it makes it really easy. It has a search engine optimization already built in. A lot of the copy and everything is enough to really get you going. You know, so I highly recommend it. We spent like $2,000 or $3,000 getting a website built that was customized and all that. We used it for about a month until I realized the guy who made it just pretty much did everything I asked him not to do. He thought those were examples, I guess. So we switched over to this, and I've never looked back. We've had this website now for like 4 years. So I rarely update it. It's pretty much all dialed in and just works in the background. And you guys can get that website. It's carrot.ieic.org. It's like $100 a month or something for a 3-website package. And then the way that I would work PropStream, which I haven't really done a whole lot of yet, because we literally just got it about a month and a half ago, you can build lists. And the way, I'm not going to go into exactly like how to build all the lists, but if you go to my properties here and you build a list, you would get a list of, hey guys in the back, thanks. You can build this list to be whatever you want. You can build it for 3 2s that are only 1,000 square feet. You can build it for single levels. You can build people that are a certain age, a certain amount of equity. You can build the list however you want. And then you can take that list and basically export it. So if I wanted to take these houses and export them, it would export them into a CSV file for me. And then you can take that file and go into Deal Machine. And then you can basically import it into Deal Machine with add leads, and they just updated a lot of stuff. Sorry. Oh, that's the list. It does exist, that's right. List builder. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, they updated a bunch of stuff. But you can basically export that list. You don't have to use PropStream, you can use anything. But you can take that list and import it into Deal Machine, and then you can assign that to a team member or yourself or whoever, and then it'll highlight those pictures or those properties in Deal Machine, so that when you're in the neighborhood or you're driving around and you're like, oh, that's a house that fits my parameter, and you drive to that house, and if it's in bad shape, you take a picture of it and then add it in, and then if you're doing it right, you have it all targeted toward these little micro campaigns, and you bring people in. So it's a lot more set up in the background and up front before you go, or you could just take a list and start dialing if you're that person. Evan talked about, do what, what you as a person are comfortable with. Me, I was a recruiter in staffing for 4 years. I never want to dial a phone cold calling again. So, but maybe you are jaded like me and you love the phone. So you can go that route. But this route, if you want to basically like set up systems that are working for you in the background, and you kind of do the work up front instead of doing it like on the fly as you're going, I highly recommend this setup. So again, it's those 3 systems. I'll put the links up again. And you can sign up on any of those through the club. And again, the club gets a little bit kind of do it through those links. And Deal Machine, I think, gives you like 15 deal credits to send out your first 15 postcards for free. Carrot. What's that?
And 7 days free trial.
And 7-day free trial for PropStream and Carrot. They're stingy, they don't do anything, but I still appreciate it. So, what's up?
Do you know if Deal Machine works in multiple states or just California?
The question is, does Deal Machine work in multiple states? And yes, they work all across the country. The team is actually all on the East Coast. So yeah, it works everywhere. And so does PropStream and Carrot. I think they pull from everywhere. Because a lot of it's, public info, MLS info, all that kind of stuff. What's up, Chris?
Would you compare PropStream to Property Radar or like?
I would. We used Property Radar for years. I think I sold that account. Sorry, Evan. Every once in a while, every once in a while, it doesn't hurt to have multiple apps or systems or whatever. Because it's rare, but it does happen where you pull up something on some app and it'll just be some weird data or be outdated or whatever. And you're just not finding what you're looking for, like they don't have the owner on time, whatever it is, you jump on the next person, and they're all pulling from the same data sources, but for some reason this guy's got it, and this guy doesn't. But to answer your question specifically, I used Property Radar for years. it's a great program. I just really like the way PropStream's interface is a lot more. They're just overall like the way that they present all the data and how you can manipulate stuff, and their whole user interface is far better in my opinion. Keeping all your lists managed and everything. Like, did you use Property Radar a lot?
I have in the past, and I'm using PropStream now as well. However, I know when the last time I was using Property Radar, it was still just like California, Oregon,
Yeah, they were
Washington. It's like the 5 states.
Yeah.
But PropStream, like you mentioned, does nationwide.
Yeah. My biggest like so far with PropStream is the lists. Like actually, because I don't know if you remember on Property Radar, you would make different searches and you would put it like in these blocks, and you'd have like 200 of these blocks of different lists, and you only had like 17 characters that named the list of things. And it was like you had to give this like code basically, like in your mind of like 55 and over with 80% equity. You had to fit it like at 17 characters on this thing, and it was very that to me. But Denise, what's up?
I want to say something about Property Radar. Yeah, I used to use Property Radar for years, and then I found out about PropStream. It's far better. Even when it comes to marketing, it's so much better. It has an app on your phone, but what's really cool about it, it has 8 hours of training. So I did 8 hours of training plus 5 days a week. You can hop on a live training 5 days a week until you master it. I did it. I highly recommend PropStream by far.
Yeah, she was saying they have hours and hours and hours of training. So does Deal Machine Care, by the way. Deal Machine has a weekly podcast that they go through and talk about people all over the country, how they're using Deal Machine and how they're building out driving teams. They hire Uber drivers to basically go and be bird doggers for them to take pictures. And there's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do. We're lazy. Yeah, we literally don't use any of these systems to even close their full potential, and we still do a pretty good job. So I'd highly recommend either one of them. Any other questions about any of those? So the question is does any of these systems provide phone numbers, or do you still need a skip trace? Deal Machine has a skip tracing platform built into it. It's extra, so it's like you pay whatever a month, and then if you want the skip tracing thing, it's either, I think you can buy a monthly thing, or you have to buy like per property. It's like 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever. But they do have it built in. I haven't really used it. It's rare that when we do skip trace, I think I bought like 2,000 credits to skip tracing website. I think it's REI Skip years ago, and I probably have like 1,600 left still. So I don't want to pay for it twice in Deal Machine. I just go use it on that one. But Deal Machine does have one, and I think does PropStream?
Yes,
PropStream does have a skip trace, right?
Skip tracing feature. It's only 12 cents. It's 12 cents per skip trace, and it has phone numbers.
12 cents.
Yeah, phone numbers and email addresses.
Cool. Well, there you go. Any other questions? If not, Evan, you want to come back up?
Yeah.
I'll just leave that up there.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, cool. Real quick before I go any further, so give it up for Rich for that real quick, please. Earlier I talked about the compound effect in that book. I want to promote another book that I really love. I'm rereading this book for the 15th time, and The Real Estate Candy Shop. And what it is, it's really about more of the various niches of real estate investing, subject to investing, and buy and hold deals, flipping, notes, syndication, all the different things that many different ways you can invest within the world of real estate. So if you're still searching, like I'm not sure what exactly part of real estate, it's a great resource to do. I don't know if it's in on the IEREIC.org with the bookstore. If not, it should be, because it's a great book. It's just a couple chapters or a couple pages from all these different investors, okay, that talk about it, including self-directing your IRA, for example, how to invest within that. So it's more in the various niches that are within real estate, okay? Instead of just all on buy and hold. So anyway, keep that in mind. The Real Estate Candy Shop by Robert Weissman and other top real estate experts. It's a good read to read again, touch up. It was written about 12 years ago. There's a big section by Sean O'Toole from Foreclosure Radar, Property Radar, as it was written back then. But a lot of information is still relevant on the buy and hold, subject to deals, etc. So I wanted to bring that up and mention that real quick. And one other thing real quick is, so with everything we're talking about, I was trying to keep it simple on real estate investing for the leads. And understand that a lot of people I don't know, should I, like say, advertise on social media? Should I buy this particular list? What kind of list? It just says list. I have no idea. And you heard us refer to like high equity, non-owner occupied, that's owned it for at least 5 years or 10 years, depending on maybe out-of-state landlords. And if you can do it where they're above 60, you can really kind of narrow into that as a list. So you can do a lot of different things versus just sending out a list of this entire neighborhood. Because if you are farming an area, if you know a lot of agents and a lot of investors will do this, there's a particular area from this street to this street, this street, this street, they want to get to know that really well. And yeah, you can't send to everybody, but what if some people just bought their house last year? You don't want to send to them. I mean, or what you'd have to do. So you might find that some of them are investors that bought 3 years ago, and I just look at the name, they're not going to sell. We come across some that we just know that. So what happens is you can start targeting in what you're trying to do by $100 by looking at the distressed house versus a distressed seller. Keep in mind that anyone's heard the 5 Ds of real estate? 5 Ds? Death, disease, divorce. Come on. Debt.
Drugs.
That should have it separate. It really should. It really should. Yeah, I literally. And anyone yet done a deal where you walk into the room and the person rolls up the dollar, does a line right in front of you as they're about to sign? Wow. All right. Yep. Or walk in, the person is so beat up because they got rolled by their old gang when they're trying to get out of the gang life, and they were hunted down, and I walked in, I put them up in a hotel room, and I'm like, what happened to you? And I'm now sitting with my back to it, with my face to the door, thinking they're going to come back. Oh yeah, crazy. It is. Let me make sure before I get the wrong thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing here. It is just a generic distress. Basically, you have a choice. Property in distress or the seller in distress, right? So death, disease, divorce, debt, distress. That shouldn't say drugs. That makes more sense. Basically, this is what you're looking for when you're doing mailers. This is what you're really looking for when you're networking. This is really what you're looking for in everything you do as a seller in this situation. Now, what's kind of neat for those of us that have someone that, either if you're an agent, like some of you in the room, or my wife, is that I can look for houses that actually, I can also come across houses, or family and friends that they don't fit in any of these, and I can say, hey, tell you what, and I can offer them I can offer a fair cash offer, but I can also refer them to my wife when this does not apply, and still pick up leads that aren't on this list. All right, we weren't doing that until a while ago, but damn right we are now. We've been doing that for a while. So those of you who are agents, keep that in mind when you're out there promoting. You got 2 hats to wear. You're looking for the distressed property, distressed seller, and you're looking for anyone that just has a house listing, etc., that has a real estate need. So keep that in mind. But ultimately, when it comes down to this, they call this the 5 Ds, and that's what you focus. I have that on my wall in my office. But when it comes down to that, there's really, you keep it to simple, on a simpler term, if I can do that, is that you either have the distressed property, I already said this, or a distressed seller. And everything we've talked about tonight is to get us to those two, a distressed seller, a distressed property, to cut through all this just to get there. Okay? And so that's really what we're looking for. So when you go into this, how are we going to advertise, how are we going to figure it out, you get overwhelmed, especially if you're newer. All you're trying to do is look for people that have a problem and you have to find a way that you can solve it for them, trying to help them. Okay? That's really what we do, but we're either dealing with a distressed property or a distressed seller. All right? First of all, any questions on that? Because when it narrows down, it comes down to just a couple items. Okay? Think about it, just these two. All right, now, I wanted to add something. Charlie corrected me on one thing. He said, Evan, when I was back there, he goes, we got 6 properties under contract in the last 7 days. 6 properties under contract, not leads, contract on the last 7 days. By the way, Charlie, my hat's off to you. Seriously, really? And he also wanted me to say something that is absolutely true. That a lot of the things that he was working on, the deals that he'd been working on, have been in his database for over a year and a half. Because while other investors stopped contacting them, they didn't. So they developed lifelong relationships. And so while we're talking about networking and everything we're talking about, personal, professional, it is about people. And ultimately, you're there to help them. You're there to solve a problem. Okay, Andy, when you take Andy's class, the first thing he tells you, he starts off his class. Anyone know other than Andy? You know what he starts his class off with? This is a variation of it, but these are powerful tools that we're going to teach. And if you're going to use it to harm people or to harm, distract, or take from people in an evil way, a malicious way, etc., you can come, I'll give you your money back right now and please leave. Right, Andy? More or less the way it says, get the hell out. Okay, so ultimately, everything we're talking about, sometimes it takes someone like Charlie to point out and say, hey, remember, it's about the relationships you're building, helping people, and staying through all the while when you're like, you know what, I'm not going to call them for the 47th time. It's been a year and a half. I have no hair left. You know, I don't know what to say. How do you do? And that's when you call again. And that's when you call again. Okay? And those people that get in deals like that, because no one's left on the arena floor, they are, because they're doing that. So again, that's about that with relationships, etc. Okay, so distressed property, distressed seller, wanted to talk about that. And then, so ultimately with this, all this stuff we talked about come down to 3 big things that drive me for dollars, networking really, and some mailers. And then targeted mailers, micro-targeting, Richard was talking about that as well. You can get into, let's deal with probate lists, let's deal with landlords. You can go after divorce attorneys, go after people looking for, that are going through divorce. There's all sorts of things you can do to get into and target an area or target a certain type of property or a certain type of seller that you can do. If you have no money or very low money, you might look for deals where you're going to take over the payment and do sub-2 deals, or you might want to wholesale with somebody, or you want to do a wholesale deal because you don't have the money to fund a deal. There's all sorts of things you can do that will help, that you can focus on, and that, for example, that real estate candy shop will kind of help set some of that up for you newer people if you're not sure what to do or where to go. But in the meantime, if you come across a deal, you come across anything, you want to be the person that everyone in your friends list, everyone in your network calls. You want to be that guy, that gal. So I'm a big believer in, when we talk about networking, to contact 100, 200, 300, contact everybody you know and say, hey, I'm an investor. I just wanted to tell you I'm an investor, and I started a real estate company out here, wherever you're at, and I'd love to be a resource for you. If you ever have any real estate needs, questions, etc., be glad to answer. All right? If I don't know the answer, I'm probably working with someone that does. And that's it. You're just out there doing it. So you want to keep putting that out there so people know where they can go for information. You can do that via social media. You can do that through Facebook. You can do it through an email. You can make a phone call. You let them know when you're at a party. But those are the things to do. If you have friends that don't know what you do right now, all right, then it tells you you're not marketing at all. And ultimately, that's what we're doing. But otherwise, that's really it. I wanted to just leave you with that, is that, again, when this boils down, you're looking for either distressed property, distressed people, okay? And remember, you're trying to help people at the bottom line to see how you can provide solutions to them. And the neat thing about it is that you can provide solutions to people and to get them out of a situation to where you really solve their problem and make money and solve their problems. That's really a good thing. Okay, so I just want to say thank you, and that's all I have. So.
Any questions for Evan? Joe?
When you get a call that says, how many of your postcards and why can't you put it sell in my house? How does that first conversation go?
When someone calls on a postcard?
Can you
Yeah.
repeat the question?
Yeah. Are you asking, I think the question was, how does the first phone call go when someone calls on the postcard for the first time? Okay. Usually at that time, I try to make sure it goes real well, right? Sometimes you get caught at an inconvenient place, so I try to answer those calls. And if I can't talk right then, I usually say, hey, it's Joe, right? Is it Joe? And let's have a conversation. Okay, Joe, you called on the postcard? Okay, you just got, okay. Well, let me ask you, what can you tell me about the house? I won't put you on the spot. Okay, usually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll talk to them, and I'm just gathering information the first phone call. I really am. I'm just talking to them. Oh, really? Okay, what brought you to call me today? Oh, my brother died. I'm trying to figure out what to do with his house. Oh, okay. All right. I'm so sorry to hear about that. How did he die? Kind of go into that. There's all sorts of things we can do with that, but ultimately, we're asking questions, finding out what the problem is, finding out what the issue is, finding out what the urgency is, and then a lot of times I'll make it quick and say, is this the best number to reach you at? Can I call you back because you caught me out, etc. And I will give you a call in 15 minutes or in an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, and I'll call back. So usually the first call is just like, oh, you caught me off guard because I'm out and about, and I'm just here. That's really the first call. And then by the time I call the second time, I've done some research on the house, because I would usually get that address on the first call, done some research on the house, and then I can really kind of focus and start going into what I need to do. And I kind of prepare a little bit mentally. All right, I'm going to shut the door, turn music off, so I can kind of see what's going on. Okay? That makes sense right now? Okay. Yeah. Andy?
You did bring up 2 classes, so I presume that they're not working anymore.
Bandit signs. You want to bring up. I just put a bandit sign up the other day because I own a property, and I'll put it in the window. And yes, we have got leads from that. I bought a deal a year and a half ago from a bandit sign. I owned the property, I put it on, and then someone called and I bought another one on the street. But guess what? That was also a driving for dollars lead at the same time. So did they walk over because they saw Sir Cash and they saw the postcard, or was it the driving? But bandit signs can be very effective for people. Can, yeah. And door knocking. I didn't bring up door knocking and the bandit sign. Well, first of all, the bandit signs, because everyone I asked, no one said bandit signs. That was what's working right now. Door knocking, yeah, it came down to very targeted, because that's why I kind of brought that up with the driving for dollars. No one, unless Charlie's going to correct me, for example, right now, if they're just randomly going out door knocking, or they're targeting something, a house, because of a list, and then they're door knocking. Yes.
We'll send them an offer, and if they ghost us, then we're going to do a wellness check to make sure they're still alive. They got to take yes or no.
Okay, there you go. But are you going out door knocking random neighborhoods? Not right now.
No, you got a target on it.
Target first, and then you're doing a door knocking fault. Yeah, and that's, I've done the same.
I target neighborhoods in Durham, because that's just what's worked for me for years and years and years.
And I talked about that you have a 1,800 unit farm that you like to get to know, and you had gone on site at that moment. You missed it.
I'm still on East Coast.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was a door knocker for Home Veterans of America a long time ago, and I used to knock on 50, 60 doors a day, and I did that for many years. Until I started doing foreclosures, and then I did actually have a real conversation with him.
Did you hear everyone hear that? Did everyone hear that? He was a door knocker for years, and we've done knocking 50, 60 doors a day, and that's where you got really good at door knocking.
Yeah, you're gonna ask you questions you don't know, right? So you go back and research it, or go to someone like Evan and then get right back to them, because they're only gonna do business because they find value in it. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting their time.
Or go to someone like Turner.
I have a question for Mr. Michael back there.
Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me, he's talking to Farrah.
Michael? Michael?
Not so much a question, but I know you hit on professional networking, personal networking, and obviously about the club and whatnot. Michael, I wanted to say, I apologize I wasn't able to bring you up on stage and mission in, but Michael did his first deal with us in the club, what was that, about a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he bought a rental property from us in Desert Hot Springs, so I just wanted to give him a call. What's that?
I was actually asking.
Oh, nice. It's my mic's
That's
still working.
always the hardest.
I don't know if it is. I don't know. It's a good thing I'm loud. All right, any other questions? We've got time for one or two more. Cheryl?
I want to know what happened when cold call somebody and they ask you, how did you get my number?
If you cold called someone and they asked you, how did you get your number? How did you get their number? What would
Yeah,
you
it's a
say?
common question.
Yeah.
You know what?
So you don't want to know.
I actually say there's a lot of companies that just, you can find that for free, and there's a lot of companies that just sell that information, sir, ma'am. It's out there. Yes?
I have a great answer for that.
All right, what's the answer?
I don't know how she does it. She gives me his phone number and the name, and she says, this one's a likely person.
Right.
You're Jimmy Napier, I don't know.
Right.
Call me to call me.
And just be honest and tell people that you're good at what you do.
There you go.
This is what I say, and nobody ever says anything back. So I say it's public records, and they don't say anything.
It's public. What she says is, it says it's public records.
Yes, public records.
And so that's kind of what I mean. It's like, just Google it and you'll see a lot of times. It'll show right up.
Right.
Not always.
Chris, your last question.
Question, well, kind of like with the phone call, it's like a two-part question. With the phone call, you scrub prior to calling to make sure that do not call BS is not being affected, or you disregard it?
Don't disregard. If you scrub your list for do not call.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's a lot of opinions on this. So.
Right, I will answer this. We're not doing robo dialing right now. So if I drive by your house and I see that there's a tarp issue, first of all, and I look it up and I call you to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your house, about buying your house. One of your argument is, I'm not selling anything, I want to buy something. That's one of the gray areas. Number two is, we have a quasi-relationship. I was literally standing in front of your doorstep 3 days ago, and I would argue that point as well on it. Okay? So it's a little bit more than we're just some random person that literally was standing in
You're not a
front of.
salesman, got it.
Yeah.
But if you were auto dialing, robo dialing, robo texting,
That's
yes.
a different.
Yeah. He needs to scrub the list.
Okay.
Yes, when we did have lists and we were doing that, we did scrub our list. As best we could. Some stuff gets.
The other part was, I know you mentioned, I don't know if it was with the deal machine with the pre-foreclosures, if I got that correctly.
I think that was Prop Street.
That was prop stream or prop radar.
Yeah, but I was told also that you're kind of, like it's legality-wise, it's probably best with those to send the mailer as opposed to do the phone call when they're in pre-foreclosure. So it doesn't look predatory sort of deal with the distressed seller.
Well, let me just say
Is that
this.
accurate, or is that?
Well, here's the thing. As soon as someone is officially in foreclosure, let me just say this. New rules apply with forms. New rules apply with signing. You write it out. Say you sit down with someone. Say I'm with Charlie and his house is actually in foreclosure. Got the NOD. We sign an offer. I hand it to him. I can't get it back for 5 days, I believe. It's 5 days. You have to wait 5 days because of possible predatory behavior. They're in a jam, you're taking advantage. So there's these timeouts in it that I know happen then. Before that, I'm not aware, but someone might.
No, that makes sense. No.
Yeah, there's all sorts of rules that apply when the NOD that we have to follow, but I don't know of any other talking to people.
Okay.
But there could be, I just don't know.
And if there's any other question, or any question in general about whether something is legal or whether you should do it or not, or basically anything that involves a lawyer, I would consult your attorney and do not take anything anybody
And
says
since, by the way,
as legal advice.
we routinely talk to 2 different attorneys that we keep, that we either email, call, hey, can I ask you a quick question? Because we do that. I highly recommend finding competent legal advice for those times. Don't spend the $100 for 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
If you're a realtor, you have an hotline already, that's
That's right.
that's pretty cool.
Okay, that's all we have for questions. Evan is going to stick around. We're going to do haves and wants and stuff in a second here. Evan, if people have more questions, how are they going to hold it?
You can reach me at evan@sellbyhouse.com. It's Evan, E-V-A-N, at sellbyhouse.com. Or you can call me at 909-556-5955. I believe my information is also up on the club site, but ask me, I'll give you my business card.
Okay,
You know, okay?
sounds good. Thank you, Evan.
All right.